Ever thought about how eating an apple could cause a butterfly to die? Well, according to a Harvard study that was published in the June 2015 edition of the Bulletin of Insectology, pesticides are the cause for the mass die-off of the monarch butterfly and the colony collapses of the honeybee. Genetically modified foods bring health risks to humans as well. Continued planting of these GMO crops proves extremely harmful to our environment, not just in the plants, but in the wildlife as well. The advancement of GMO companies is nothing more than a politically run business that's taking tons of money off the ignorance of ourselves. To begin with, I'm going to lay out what GMOs are and why they're harmful to us. GMOs are genetically modified foods, and we've been genetically modifying our foods since the 1990s. Since then, we have been seeing the negative side effects on humans being swept up under the rug. In 2008, GMO crops were treated with 26% more pesticides than non-GMO crops, even though they said genetically modified crops would take less pesticides. You're told to just wash your food before you eat it. However, is that really helping? In most cases, it's not going to. Because think about it, besides the seeds being injected with the pesticide, we're also coating the plant in it. Once the plant comes into contact with this toxin, the leaves are going to absorb it and it's going to synthesize it into every single tiny cell of that plant. And then the plant holds the active toxin and it will be expressed into every cell of that plant. Therefore, every cell and every tissue of that plant is going to hold that toxin. Doesn't sound like something that a little soap and water is going to fix before I can eat it. And they are manipulating food crops and making them produce their own pesticides or coating them in the herbicides. And by ingesting these, we're causing infertility, we're causing immune system problems, accelerated aging, as well as insulin resistance, gastrointestinal issues, organ damage, and those are just the ones that we can link to ingesting the pesticides. They are some of the leading causes to food allergies and other health problems. We're also still on the fence as to some of the other things that it's causing by ingesting it. We were told, for example, that Bt toxin, which is a pesticide, was completely safe to ingest and that it would be destroyed in our digestive system. However, researchers stumbled upon it in 93% of mother's blood and 80% of children's cord blood. Now, I've explained how it's ruining our health just by eating it, but let's address an even bigger problem. How about the environment that's being affected? Other species are being affected as well. According to the CDC studies, amphibians are having birth defects and mass die-offs, population declines. Farmers around the world are also reporting sterile livestock, death in livestock, sick livestock, and then water sources are being contaminated. Groundwater, runoff. According to the Journal of Environmental Science, it states that pesticide contamination of the surface and seepage water is coming from the farmlands that are treating their plants with pesticides. Before the mid-1970s, we thought that the soil would just filter out the pesticides. Well, that's been proven wrong. Then there's another thing, corruption. The corruption that goes with all of this is pretty bad, and I'm going to shed a little bit of light on that for you. GMO lobbyists snuck in a rider bill called the Farmers Assurance Program into the U.S. Farmers Bill and Agriculture Operations, which it basically broke down to say that if it was ever proven that GMOs did prove to be harmful to us or to the environment, the federal government could take no action against these GMO companies. And they did this to prevent an incident like what happened in 1996, where the New York Attorney General actually sued Monsanto, for stating that Roundup was safer than table salt and that it was not harmful to mammals, birds, or fish. Again, that's been proven wrong. Regulations on planting is also proving to be a problem for the farmers. See, genetically modified plants were supposed to increase their profit. However, it's decreasing it because the cost of the seeds and the fact that they're having to buy seeds every year. Second generation planting is not allowed. In fact, it's illegal. Also, despite warnings from the health dangers from their own scientists, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration decided to allow GMO foods to be sold without labeling and without further testing per their scientists' request. It is also no secret that former Vice President of Monsanto, Michael Taylor, is now the Deputy Commissioner for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Now that you're aware of some of the issues, here are the things that I'm asking you to do just to simply help. I'm asking you to stay active in knowing where your food's coming from. Don't buy into everything that the government or the USDA says is safe. They've been proven to be wrong. Question, check their research. Then be active, acting in making the healthy food choices and supporting the farmers and lawmakers who are trying to do so as well. You can write or email your congressman or woman and tell them you don't want GMOs, or simply just label the GMOs so we know what we're eating. So let's review. We know that there are potential health risks for consuming GMOs. They're too high and outweigh any benefit that they're claiming that GMOs have for us. The crops and pesticides, they're damaging our environment. And it doesn't take time to look at it. They keep proving it over and over again. However, we ignore it for our own peace of mind and our own pocketbook. The financial corruption tied into making sure that GMOs stay at optimal production, coupled with the cost comparison, should make you kind of wake up and open your eyes to what's going on. I'm not asking you to move to one of the countries that has already outlawed the GMOs and the pesticides for the good of their own citizens. I'm simply asking you for the benefit of yourself, your family, and for your children to get informed, start taking notice of what you call food.